everyone that's joining us today. My name is Carrie Pope. I am a technical sales consultant with Mechdyne Corporation. We have had several inquiries regarding our white glove executive team meeting support services. So we've decided to address some of those questions in a quick Q&A here today. Hopefully this platform will provide answers for those that have already reached out and also to anyone else that might have some interest in this specialized service. I have got Tony joining me today. Tony is a level 3 audiovisual engineer for Mechdyne. He has been an AV engineer supporting C-level clients for more than 10 years. He's currently our on-site engineer supporting the C-level executives with all of their technical aspects of their meeting, as well as their audiovisual conferences. This client also happens to be in the top 10 of the Fortune 100 companies. They're a very large organization with locations all around the world. So needless to say, Tony's pretty amazing at what he does, and we are thrilled that he's part of our Mechdyne team. So welcome, Tony. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Carrie. How are you?
I'm good. So we'll jump right in here to some of these questions that we've received. So real quick, Tony, can you tell us what is CSuite white glove support?
Well, Carrie, white glove support, CSuite or other, is us giving you the concierge level of support for your top levels of management during their most important meetings. It also puts us in a position where we can do that same thing for other guys in their company, other executives. But with the C levels, we're really attentive to a lot of the different things. We want to make sure that we take all of the worry off of them as they prepare and off of their staff as they prepare to have their meetings. We want to put it to a point where all of that falls on us. Everything technical falls on us. And then we leave them at a point where all they need to do is focus on the content of their meetings.
So can you give us some examples of when this level of support, what types of meetings this level of support is needed for, and maybe some examples of situations that you've had to assist with?
Sure. So this level of support is needed. In most cases, you'll have large corporations like this corporation has annual meetings. They'll have quarterly earnings calls. They'll have investor calls. They'll have rankings, different things of that nature that happen throughout the year. So each of those meetings are extremely delicate meetings, so to speak. So one of the things that we'll do is we go in and we make sure that everything is prepared for them. We get those rooms set up. We walk through, we test frequently, usually with the admin or whoever is going to present, because usually these guys don't present. When you look at this group of individuals, you're talking about a group of executives that's, let's say, for instance, on any given day, I may walk into one of our rooms for a meeting, just to prepare for a meeting. In that room, I know it's going to be 10 to 20 folks in there. All of these guys are going to be guys that, let's say, they make upwards of $5 million a person, So just imagine if we're not prepared and we come in and we waste 5 minutes, 10 minutes of their time, imagine how much money we lost at that point and how much of disdain we'd cause in that particular instance. So we prepare. We do a lot of things like, I like to make sure I've got extra stuff on hand. Like a lot of times these guys will come to the meeting, they'll bring their computers to the meeting, but a lot of times they'll come in and they won't have power supplies, things of that nature. So I keep all those things handy. We had one instance where all of these guys were in the meeting. They're all presenting to the CEO. And one of the young ladies who was over the presentation, she was basically driving the presentations. She came in, she sat down, and I guess she stretched out a little bit when she sat down. So during the course of the meeting, I get a call. And they say, hey, we need you in here right away. So I go in the room, which is kind of like, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember E.F. Hutton commercials, but it's like it's silence. Everybody's focused on you. You walk in. From our standpoint, we have about 2 minutes max to figure out what's wrong and fix it. I walk in, I see how she's sitting. I walk over to the table and I say, "Excuse me, can you stand up?" I get down on the floor and I replug the computer in because she's basically kicked the plug out with her foot when she sat down, and she's wondering why she has no power, and her computer just totally went blank. So I plug it in, flip the power switch on, and her computer comes back up, and everybody starts clapping. So I turn around and walk out. So you have situations like that where you're dealing with an individual who's nervous because they are presenting to these C-level folks. And at the same time, you want to be able to provide a little relaxation and relief to that person. So I just came and smiled at it, didn't try to call her out or anything, just smiled and plugged it back in and walked out. Everybody, like I said, was happy that they were able to continue and not, lose any real time. That took about a minute and a half, and everybody was good. So it's things like that. You want to be prepared. You also
Right.
need to have, like we were talking about, a plan A, plan B, or plan C, so that these guys understand that you're prepared technology-wise. Another quick story is that we did for one of the prior companies I worked for, we were doing an earnings call. And 5 minutes before the call, I got ready to test again and to dial in the call, and the overhead didn't work. So I'm sitting there, people are getting ready to file into the room. So I basically took a standard telephone that was sitting on a counter, dialed in the earnings call, took my microphone that we usually use for Q&A, laid it over there and put a vase in front of it so that everybody in the room still heard the call just like they would normally hear. They just had no idea that it was on a little microphone in a corner. And I sat there and watched the microphone and watched the vase the whole time, trying to make sure nothing was going to move or nobody saw it. But the meeting went off without a hitch and everything went well. But again,
Mhm.
it boils down to our preparation, our attention to detail, and us making sure that we put the client's environment, all that stuff is playing into the effect. How do we utilize that to make it something that's beneficial for them?
So I would guess that in that preparation, you're spending a lot of time with the presenters and the people that are going to be utilizing the office or the conference rooms or the presentation spaces.
Yes, we are. So I start off from the time that I get the announcement for the meeting or the meeting invitation. I will reach out to the person who sent me the invitation, and I get the particulars from them, and I make sure I pay attention to detail. What I want to find out is, what do they expect from that meeting? What's their end goal? What do they want to happen, and what can they absolutely not have happen? So that
Mm-hmm.
way I can then prepare and make sure. I need to know what their fine points are, what their talking points are, and who they're dealing with. If I'm dealing with vendors, I want to make sure that I know who the vendor is. If we're doing video conferences, I want to make sure that I know who we're connecting to. Because a lot of times in these higher ups for the company, your networks are tied down. So you don't actually get the opportunity to have free will with anybody dialing in. And you want
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that you meet their protocol as far as those things go. So those conversations are priceless in preparation. We want to make sure you get that understanding of what they need, how they need it, and when they need it, and then you want to deliver it just as they expect it.
Mm-hmm. So, how do we know, one, that the meeting expectations were met, and two, that we've delivered on our promise to them?
Well, it's by building relationships. So over time, you're going to build a relationship with these particular people that you're supporting, because our goal is not to just support them once, but for us to be an ongoing part of their meetings. So one of the things we do is we start to talk to them, and when they talk, we make sure that we listen, and we listen for detail, and we take notes, and we make sure that when we're taking those notes that we're getting the vital points of what they want. Then we make sure we understand exactly what they want by kind of reiterating what they've talked to us about back to them. We make sure that they know that we're not just going to take this and run with it, that we're going to be available for them. We're going to be part of the team. We're going to be working with them as a partner going forward to make sure that each and every one of these desires are met, and that they have a comfort level that allows them to sit back and just not even focus on the technical aspects of it. Because as you know, a lot of people are afraid of technology. The first thing you hear people that talk about not even wanting to use the remotes at their own home because they don't know too many things are connected to it. So we want to take that out. We want to alleviate that stress and put them at a comfort level where they know that if they call McDine and they talk to Tony or they talk to Carrie, they're going to get exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than being presenting in a meeting and your technology not working. So I can understand their anxiety and how valuable you are in those instances when you come in and save the day by plugging in the power cord. Well, thank you so much, Tony, for joining me here today. We certainly appreciate your valuable insight, and I want to thank everyone that has joined in and was listening. Feel free to reach out with any further questions, and you can obviously follow the links below for more information. Have a good day. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Bye, guys.